No,
Nothing.
no, no, no. I kind of, when I'm looking back on it, I kind of stopped believing in God when he didn't do what I asked him. No,
Okay.
and he left me. He left me to the hands of people he shouldn't have left me to. So I blamed him,
Mhm.
right? So then I said, "Hey, come here, they can't be a God, because this don't happen. This don't happen." But I did.
First, you go good news for Armagh. This is the podcast that looks at the big questions of the universe and of our hearts. And this segment, as you know by now, is called People, because we just interview people and ask them about their life and where they've come from and how they've come to know the Lord Jesus Christ. And we're just really delighted to have Pakie on with us this week. And so, Pakie, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Good man. So, do you want to start off, Packy, by just introducing yourself to us and tell us a wee bit about, like, even what you do, family, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, my name is Pakie. I'm a carer for my wife. I care for my wife. She got sick about 27 years ago.
Okay.
So uh, kind of everything stopped when that happened. We had a business making dolls' houses and dolls' house furniture, and then we went into wood carving. Uh, we carved mirrors and fireplaces and stuff like that. But then Mary got sick, and that all stopped. Um, kind of never went back to it,
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
So
Do you have kids?
yeah, yeah, we have one. Well, I have a youngster from a previous relationship, and then of course I have Josh down from
Oh,
being married to Mary.
very good. Very good. I always admire someone that can work with their hands in that kind of a way in making those kind of ornate things. It's quite a talent you have.
Yeah, I always liked timber. Um, but me being me, I come from a family of carpenters,
Okay.
right? Now, apart from my young man, but all my uncles were all carpenters, and I was going to be a carpenter.
Okay.
And my father got me an apprenticeship, and he bought me all the tools. But because it was him that done it, I didn't do it.
I get
You
that.
know, I
Yeah.
brought me harp, but I took, despite me face, I cut off my nose.
I know.
And that's the way it was. That's the way I was all my life.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know.
Very good. Have you been following the guy at the moment? Have you?
Oh, I'm
You're not
not
in.
into sport at all.
Okay. It's okay. Well, up hard, man. I have to say that they did well. They did well. Hi. It was
Yeah.
good to see the buzz around the city. Um. So, well, tell us a wee bit about yourself, where you come from, then, Packy, and where you grew up.
Well, I come from Watford, I was born not too far away from where I'm living now.
Hmm.
Um, I went to school, De La Salle School, hated it. Uh, I drank a lot, but I drank a lot young when I was young.
What age are you
Right?
talking?
But yeah, like I was okay in school when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Everything changed. I had an accident when I was about 12. I fell off the back of a coal lorry. We used to jump on lorries going home, on the back of lorries. We used to call them taxis. We get a taxi home. You jump on the back of a lorry and you get brought home.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, this day I jumped on the back of the wrong lorry, and the driver decided to give me a fright, and he went too fast, and I fell off. Uh, but I lost my memory.
Wow.
I didn't know who I was or where I was or what happened. Um, and my mother brought me to the doctor. I busted up my shoulder and I busted. But he said he has amnesia and all this kind of. It might come back and it mightn't come back. But a few weeks later, came back. Part of it came back. Um, my schooling was gone. I and still today I can't write because I have a block. I can't see words. I can't sound words. I can't do anything like that. Uh, so I went kind of from sitting. I wouldn't say in the front of the class. I wouldn't have been the brightest spark, but I wouldn't have been the stupidest fella either,
Mhm.
you know. But I went from sitting there to sitting right at the back uh, because I didn't know what you were talking about.
Okay.
And them days, the masters weren't, you get the old slap on the back of the head,
Yeah.
or hung out the window, one or the other. But that's the way it was.
Mhm.
So uh, when I got sober, I went back to school because they thought I was dyslexic.
Okay.
And I thought I was dyslexic, but I wasn't, you know. But I carried that all my life, uh, not being able to read and not being able to write. And I found that really hard. And anybody that kind of took the mickey out of fellas that couldn't read or I'd react really badly. And I'd hit, I wouldn't care who you were. I'd be on you like a terrier, and it got me into
Mm.
all sorts of bother. But I kind of tasked myself as being thick.
Okay.
Right, yeah. I left school at 13, but I didn't leave. I got kicked out.
Okay.
I was politely asked to leave. I was just I wanted to say my own fella.
Mhm. So
Gosh,
you started off drinking young and all the
yeah.
rest. And then did that become an addiction for you or
Oh, I did, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I certainly did.
And then you mentioned there
Certainly
you
did.
got clean. At what age did you get clean at?
33.
Oh, right, okay. So from early
Or
teenage life to 33.
yeah, I was drinking about 20 years,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
Um, I'm sober now, 30 odd,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
30 odd years.
And so in that life where you had that awful accident, and then the difficulties with amnesia and difficulties with mind and all the rest, and probably the insecurity of not being able
Oh,
to
yeah,
do those
yeah.
things, and then the drink, obviously. Uh, in there, was there any kind of belief in God at all, or
No,
nothing?
no, no, no. I kind of, when I'm looking back on it, I kind of stopped believing in God when he didn't do what I asked him.
Okay.
And he left me. He left me to the hands of people he shouldn't have left me to. So I blamed him,
Mhm.
right? So then I said, "Hey, come here. There can't be a God because this don't happen.
Okay.
This don't happen." But it did.
Well, that's so interesting because, like, I guarantee there are lots of people that think what you're
Yeah.
thinking about there, Peggy. So then, what made the difference? Like, how did you come from like alcoholism, um, all of those kind of things, and then you totally you come in contact with God then, and your life changes. How did that happen? How did that from that point of um trouble and difficulty to coming to know God? How did that happen?
When my life went upside down after the drink, I got kind of 3 hospitalizations in a mental home. Um, and on the third time in a mental institution, they barred me. They kicked me out because I was too far gone. Right? They couldn't do anything for me. Uh, when they kicked me out of the mental home, because I was so far gone, um, I can remember standing outside the hospital screaming at them. Now, I wasn't, what would you say? I wouldn't have been filtered because the stuff that came out of me, you know. But I went home and I kind of locked myself away and went mad, completely mad. Uh, and I went out one day to do something really bad to someone, and before I could get to him, I fell down in a heap on the floor, on the ground outside the guards barracks in Watford. I fell down. I mean, I just collapsed. I kind of realised at that stage. No, I had a nervous breakdown, but I've had that couple of seconds where I realised, hang on, the drink is causing this. It's the drink. Now, I tried before to give up the drink a few times, and I went to meetings a few times to try to give it up, and they mentioned God and that. That's not for me. That's not for me. I don't want any of that crack. Uh, but I went back. Uh, I remember one night I was at home and I decided that was it. It's over. I have enough. I can't go on anymore. And I went out to jump off a bridge. And on the way out to the bridge, I remember I went through, we're talking about the GA, I went through a GA field. And I got down on my knees. It was pitch dark. They weren't just sitting around, pitch dark. And I got down on my knees. And I asked God to help me. He just came out because I had nothing left. I had nothing left. I had a pocket full of drugs. I had a pocket full of money. I couldn't drink it and I couldn't take it, but it did me no good. Uh, I didn't know what to do. And I got down on my knees. And I asked God to help me. I was so desperate. And I felt so alone, so alone. Um, I kind of didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. Uh, and I turned around and I came back. No, I went off my head. I went off my head. But looking back, I didn't know back then that God was there to answer him. I didn't see it. But I went to a meeting. I met a man at the meeting. But my whole life changed. My whole life changed. I got into treatment through this man within weeks, within a couple of weeks. This just didn't happen. This happened really quick. And I got into treatment. And when I went down, they had an assessment. And when I went down to the assessment, there's 2 women, uh, 2 counsellors, interviewed me because they knew the man that brought me down, and he became my sponsor, and they knew him well, uh, and they interviewed me, uh, and they said to me, "You're too far gone. You're too far gone. You need to go into hospital." And I just said, "Look, I have no time." Yeah. And they left me there. They sat me down for a few minutes on my own, and the 2 of them left, and one of them came back, a girl called Alice, came back, and she looked at me. She said, "Pakie, you really shouldn't take you in. But we know you have nothing left." Uh, And she said, you know them fits you were talking about that you got. Now I got 3 fits. I got 3 alcoholic fits that should have killed me. But if not, they should have left me what they call it with a wet brain. That's what they call it. She took a chance. She left me in because down there you don't give you medication. You wouldn't get an aspirin down there, right? And I needed medication, but I wasn't on it. I wasn't on it. And I went into that place uh, as mad as a hatter. I was absolutely insane. I my I didn't have a moral compass. I was so bad. And I went in there and my life changed. My life changed. And I remember and I when I think about it, there was a night nurse down there called Rose. She was real. I was 30 odd. The woman was in her 70s. A retired nurse, and she used to come in to be a night nurse every couple of nights. And this night she was there, and I had one of them fits. I lying on the floor in the kitchen, and I'd be shaking out. And she came in, she knelt down, she lifts me up, and she sat on the floor. And she put me, and she cradled me. And I was shaking, I was fitting out, and she cradled me. She told me everything would be all right. And then she started her little prayers. Uh, I was too far gone to be worried about prayers. But she did. She did. And she told me everything would be all right. Uh, that was kind of the first time in a long, long, long time that anybody showed me a bit of humanity or a bit of, because I wouldn't leave him near me. I wouldn't leave him near me. I wanted a nice fella. I was anything but. But this woman, she held on to me. She held on to me. Yeah. My life changed from that place. Now I came out of there. I was still a nasty fella. Yeah. But I didn't drink. I didn't drink, and I often drank. I haven't took a drug in. No, I tried. I won't even go to the doctor. I don't want any that. I don't want anything like that. Uh, it was it. I didn't drink, but I found it hard to get back into society. I didn't I didn't know how to pay for stuff. I couldn't go into a shop and buy stuff. I've and Alice asked me, but we did a thing called Aftercare for 2 years, and they used to ask you to do a few things to try to get you back into the run of things. And one of my things was to go down and buy a set of clothes. I never bought clothes. I wanted a rob. I never bought clothes. I didn't know how to pay for anything. But I went down to Penny's, buy a set of clothes. It was Monday night, and I had to bring out the clothes and a receipt to show her, right? So I went down to Penny's with me mate. I robbed the clothes 3 times, and I brought them back and put them back on the hanger. Right, but I couldn't pay for them. And Paddy, mate, was with me. He 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 had to physically walk me over to the cash out. I couldn't walk my hand with the money. Wasn't able, wasn't able. But eventually I did, and that was it then. So I thought at that stage then I'd be okay. I'd be, you know, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was still a thief. I was still a nasty fella, you know. But I thought I was okay. And then when I went to AA, they started with your father. Oh man, I hated it. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And they were talking about higher powers, and I said to myself, "Oh man, but there's no hope for me here." And then one fella said to me, "Come here. You can use anything as a higher power." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is God supposed to be the higher power?" He said, "No, you can use." I know a fella in London. He said, "I use the bus." I said, "Hey, come here. I could do that. I could do that," and that's what I done. That's what I done. Uh, but I used the fellowship as the higher power, not 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 God. Definitely not God. Uh, and I went to the meetings and I had rows, serious rows of meetings over God, and it got so bad that I tried to get the affair stopped because it offended me. Right? It didn't work. It didn't work. I was told where to go, but I tried. And that's who I was.
Why was that? But did you like? Why did you want Our Father stopped?
I didn't want God mentioned
Why though?
because it was nonsense.
Okay. Yeah.
It was nonsense. The invisible fella in the sky. Will you go way out of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I was. Right? Go way out of it, will you? Grow up. You
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's how. Oh, it was arrogant. The word. I was worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So,
But I didn't want. I really didn't want God.
so
And
what
they were all
happened then?
saying,
What happened then that you went from not wanting God to thinking fairies in the sky to then believing in God?
"It's a good one." I went back to school. Uh, back to college. Back to art college to do animation and photography and that. And I met a girl there, and I ended up marrying her. Now, she had no hesitation telling you straight to your face that she loves God. None, none. She don't care who you are. She just say, "I love God," and she'll ask you how you fix with God. How you? And I'm looking at, oh man, how am I here? Right? She, this is crazy, but I tried. I was convinced that I would be able to talk her out. God, right? I'll change her mind on God. I'm married to her now 30 odd years. I didn't change her mind. I did that and I made her stronger. Now you have to understand, I hated Christians. I hated Bible bashers. Oh, I didn't want any of that. And I'd let you know, no problem. You know, I'd tried my level best. And I put that woman through torture. So I give up God. No, she would not. She would not. Now, let me tell you now, when I say I went to Israel with her, so I proved that God didn't exist. Right? Um, at that stage, we were kind of, she was in a church. Yeah. I went along, tried find out the scam. Because I was there watching these fellas on television buying airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, that's handy money,
Yeah.
handy money, handy money. All these people willing to give you a few quid, I'd gladly take it off them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went. And I didn't get on with him because I didn't like him. I didn't like him. But I ended up going to Israel. Mary wanted to go to Israel. Myself and Joyce wanted to go to Disneyland, and I thought this was great. You can go there and we go there. Perfect. But it didn't work out that way. And myself and Josh ended up going to Israel. Now, Josh was only a kid at the time. He's only 11, something like that. And I went out to Israel, out to with the church out to Israel. I didn't kind of didn't hang around with him. I was on the same bus as him, but as soon as the bus stopped, Pakie was gone. I was off. I was off looking for the Knights Templar. That's what I was doing. And I had a young fella with me. But I couldn't. Uh, I couldn't allow myself to believe in God. Now that I do, the things that I done in Israel, well, I have an awful heavy heart over it. And I decided we went up to the Temple Mount, or we went to the Garden of Gethsemane. And I said to myself, okay, this is where it's going to happen, right? This is supposed to be where God, God's Son, bled and all this. I said, this is where, if no place else in the world, this is where it'll happen. And I went into the Garden of Gethsemane and I asked God for a fight. I asked him for a fight. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And when I got saved, I realized I could have been sitting under the same tree as the Lord Jesus, where he bled. I could have been sitting under the same tree. Oh, I know God. What kind of a head case was I? What kind of a head case was I? But I didn't think I was. I didn't see. I didn't see what I was. I didn't see. I knew I hated God. I knew that. That was in me. And then trying my level best not to believe in him. That's hard.
You think it was an effort on your behalf? There was kind of like a decidedness that I'm not going to believe, because it's like
Yeah,
interesting, the language of, like hated. It's hard to hate
yeah.
somebody who doesn't exist,
That don't exist, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's just sometimes in us in that battle when even God's dealing with us that we can resist so hard against, and it almost comes out as hatred and I don't want you to be true, almost.
yeah, yeah.
So
But yes, it's strange because I called on him to get sober in my hour of need, right? I got sober. My sponsor believed in God. And he said to me, Peggy, I'm telling you, he said, in comes God, out goes fear. I'm telling you. And I said, Marcy, no. I said, will you go away? I said, with that nonsense. He said, look in the mirror, man. Look in the mirror. Who do you think is doing this? Do you think you're getting this? You think, he said to me, you think you're making yourself sober? You're not, he said. You're not. I said, I am, Marcy. I am. I am. And that's the way it was. But I wasn't. And I believed I was. I believed with all my heart that I was. Uh, so that went on for, what, yeah. I was fighting with God about 15 years.
wow.
I'm fighting not be a Christian about 15 years. There was a little place opened up, a little coffee shop opened up in Watt. Small little, man, it's not bigger than the sofa I'm sitting on. Uh, It was the Calvary Chapel opened a little coffee shop
Mhm.
right down in the middle of town. Um, and the coffee was lovely.
I,
It was the
I
best
remember.
coffee in the town. It was the best. Now, at the time, that we didn't know what coffee was in the town. These guys did. These guys did. There was an American that had it there. He knew the coffee inside out.
Was there not a coffee
And,
shop
and, and
in the bookshop? I remember I remember going in there. I think there was a coffee shop, and then that other place opened, and I remember it was a lot better. Like I remember that. Like
oh, it was class. It was class. But when I went in there, and then I found out, oh man, these guys are Christians. These guys are Christians. Uh, um, Mary, the wife, loved it. Loved it. She went there and she talked about God all day. All day. Uh, Me, not so much. Uh, but there was a few girls working there, but there was two of them in particular. It was she was 4 foot nothing. Her name was Laura. Uh, and yeah, man, when you look at that young one, she was the same. She had no hesitation telling you that she loved the Lord. Uh, I wasn't kind of the language. I had an awful mouth. I couldn't string two words together without putting a profanity in between them. I couldn't. It's impossible. I couldn't talk. You'd have to put a gag on my mouth. I couldn't talk. But I didn't mind. And I didn't care who was around. I just didn't care. Uh, but I went in there and I'd be asking Laura questions and I'd be going off in my skull, off in my head. Uh, and I went in there another time, but then with my buddy, Tommy. Um, you know, it seemed to be a few weeks. Started to change. And I'm looking at Tommy and I'm saying to myself, hey, come here, man. This fella's going off the reservation. This fella's going off the deep end. I better do something about this. And I did. Myself and Tom, we had more arguments. Well, I did with Tom. And I tell you something or not, I don't know how the man didn't throw me out of the bar. Yeah. Well, Tommy's my best mate. My best mate. He's the only man in the world I trust. No one else. Tom was Tom. I had more arguments with Tommy. You know, telling him that stuff he's reading is absolute nonsense. It's nonsense what you're reading. You know, you want to cut yourself on. Yeah. Man, he changed. He changed. Um, and I couldn't deny that. I couldn't deny that. Now I know Tom, we go back a long, long time. Myself and Tom, we went everywhere together. Right? We went home, we went off the dog shows, we went to what fellas do, as we thought. Um, Tommy changed. Tommy changed. And I couldn't deny the fact that here's a man that I trust with my life, the engine, and talking about God. I said, what's coming? What's coming? Um, then there's, I started going to Bible study. Tommy got me to go to Bible study. Oh man, hey, that's hard. That's hard. Uh, we went to check out David Wilson and Bet. Uh, David sounds a pound. Yeah. I couldn't understand what was going on. Bible. I didn't. This thing. singing. It's like as if I was in a western. All these songs, and I said, "Oh, here, come here! I'm waiting for John Wayne to walk in the door." Um, it was so bad. It was so bad. Now the people were sound. Uh, I won, and there was one night then I tried to start a fight, a Bible study, with a certain fella, and I went off my head. I went off my head. And I went outside, and I was going to bust that fellow up. And two brothers came out. Now the brothers now, at the time, they were the enemy. They came out and they talked to me. And, and I went off my head. I went off my head. And Tom came out the net and then brought me home. And, I didn't understand. And I said it to Tom, I said, I don't know what's going on. You know. And he kept changing. He still kept talking. He didn't throw me aside or anything like that. He kept talking to me. He was still mates. We go out for a coffee and I go off my head and I did shout and scream and call him fool and all this kind of carry on. And you're reading nonsense, Tommy. You're reading nonsense. And I went back to Bible study. Went back to Bible study. Went off my head, left. Went back to Bible study. Went off my head, left. Uh, and then I went to Bible study up where we are now. We have the little church up there now. And I met a man from Drummoness, Stephanie's wife and his son. Oh man, the stuff I said. I used to be there when they were explaining in the Bible study, and I'd bring it down. Then, oh, that's like something that Tony Soprano would do, or the mafia do this, and that's what I was doing, comparing this kind of carrying on, and they still listen to me. They didn't tell me to leave. They didn't tell me to. I don't think come here. They should have. They should have, because I was off. I want no fit stay to be anywhere. Yeah. Then I started going to church, and I left. Went off my head, and I left. Uh, David started doing Bible lessons with me. I go up to him of a Thursday or a Tuesday, and we go through a book like Ephesians, or we go through Colossians or something like that. And I'd be asking all the questions, about God. And I was trying to persuade him. Right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
You're
Can you
persistent.
imagine
We'll give
trying
you
to talk
that.
David Milton out of God? Ah, come here. Will you go out of it? But that's the way it was. And looking at Tommy, you know, if I hadn't seen Tom for about 10 years, when I came back to town and I saw Tom, I'd know Tom in a crowd. I'd pick him out in a crowd. But when I went over to talk to Tommy, he wasn't Tommy. He wasn't Tommy. He wanted Tom I knew. She was interchanging. He was interchanging. Yeah. And Tom, like Mary, he's not afraid. He's not afraid to tell you about God. No problem to Tom. You know. And that's good. That's good. Uh, so I went to Bible studies and went off my head. I went to church, went off my head. Went up to David, do down, like the Corinthians, and uh, went off my head. And I used to go hunting. Right. He's having time used to hunt again, and then I went out on my own, and I used to be up the mountain in the middle of the night, screaming at God, screaming at him. And I always wondered if you had an old drone to go over and look down, what would you think? You see a fella in the middle of the night and he's screaming up to the sky. That's how bad I was. Uh, then things I couldn't deny I couldn't deny the change in Tom. I honestly couldn't. And the man got so happy. The man got so happy. Uh, every time you see me, there's a smile on his face. Hey, what's going on? He said, I'm saved. Saved. Simple. It's easy. I don't need that. You know, it's important. Putting that into my head. Uh, we're up doing a Philippians, myself and Dave. And I met my cousin, and she told me that her brother, which is my cousin too, that I used to drink with when we were kids, when we were, uh, that he was out in Harteen. And he was dying. I said, I better go out and see him. And I went up to David, and I said it to him. I said, the cousin is dying out in Harteen. I said, he's a Catholic. I said, he believes in God. I said, but he also believes in the Virgin Mary. He's always talking about Mary and this. Uh, I said, and he's dying. I said, and he has it wrong. He has it wrong. I said, I better go out and tell him. Right? And David being David, David is very, very, I'm just saying, he's very soft. He's soft spoken. And he said, yeah, maybe, yeah. So he said, Pakie, now is your chance, he said, to carry the Bible. As I was thought about, hey, you can't carry that thing around with you. He said, now is your chance to carry the Bible. Go out to see him and walk through the hospital carrying the Bible. I said, okay, well, I'll do that. No problem to me. Got out of Hurricane. I got out of the car, ran my coat, and put the Bible right under the coat. Right? And I carried the Bible up to that little room where they put people where they're going to class too. But anyway, I went into the room. Martin is there. And he's dressed in the old things without the back, and you have no back in him, and he's carrying this thing that drips in him and all this kind of carry on. And I take the Bible out from under my coat, and he looks at me, and he says, "I had a good book." He said, he grabbed it out of my hand, and he kisses it. And I'm there, I'm going to tell him that he's wrong, right? That he better change quick. They don't have much time left, better change. And I'm going to tell this man that he's wrong. Um, and he turned around to me, and he said, Pakie, this is the first time in my life, he said, that I'm in a win-win situation. I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? I said, you're in a win-win situation. He said, if God cures me, okay. But if he don't, he said, I'm going to be with him. He said, and that's brilliant. And John, I'm not joking you. I'm not joking you. The man had a smile that'd blind you. Right. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, Martin, you're off your head. You're off your head. He said, no, Pakie, I'm not. I'm not. I'm in a win-win situation. Again, I thought of it. Philippians. Paul said the same thing. Paul said the same thing in Philippians 1:21. Paul said the very same thing. And I was only saying it to David just before that happened. But I went out to tell that man he was wrong. No, he wasn't. I'm not saying God. I heard God through Martin, through Martin, and I didn't understand the happiness that man had. He died. He was not afraid of death, not in the least. He couldn't have. If he had to win the lotto 6 times a day for the next 12 months, he wouldn't have had a smile on his face as much as he had. He was so happy and so content that the love he had for God, nothing. Nothing could shake it. But I didn't understand that. I still thought, I went, I went back to David. I said it to him. And he said, that's the word of God. That's the word of God. You can't deny that. I said, I can't deny that. And I couldn't, John. I couldn't deny it. And that changed. That changed me. No, I started believing. I started believing. It's very, it's hard to kind of put all that into a few months because that's all it was, a few months. The one would have me here for years. And David often said it to me, I told him, you keep coming back. You keep coming back. You go off your head, you keep coming back. And I used to get so far, and then all of a sudden, the whispers would come into my head. I'm gone. I'm gone. But I didn't realize how strong the lie I was believing was in me. Because and it's all a lie. The world was promising me this, but it was giving me something else.
Mhm.
But it seemed to be better than kind of going to God. But then with Tom and Mary, I couldn't. I couldn't deny it anymore. Now, I can't tell you when I got saved. I don't know. All I know is because one Saturday, um, I had enough. Um, I just had enough. I couldn't handle the pressure in my head anymore. Trying to figure out God, trying to figure him out, and I knew where I was going because I knew what kind of a man I was. I had no hesitation, no problem with that at all. I knew I was no good. I knew that. Uh, and I've known fellas that have hurt God on their deathbed. I know. And I was going to be one of them. Something happened, and I started to get frightened because I knew where I was going. And I knew I couldn't stop it. Uh, and I called Tom and I asked him to meet me for a coffee. And he said, okay. And down I went, off of me head. And I went down and I sat down with Tom. And he said, what's wrong with you? I said, Tom, I can't do this. Tom, Tom being Tom, he said to me, Pakie, you don't have to do it. It's already done. Now, I didn't understand what he meant, but the light came on. Now, what Tom meant and what I took were two different things.
Yeah.
Right? I took I didn't have to do anything. I could, hey, I'm on the board. No, that's not what he meant, but that's what I took. But it was enough to get me through. And then listening to all the lads, when you're talking about God, when you're talking about the scriptures, you can hear. You can hear it in them. Right? Um, and Tom done a testimony, and he done a gospel message one night, and then a few months ago he did another gospel message, and myself and Mary went off spinning around, and we were listening to it. Mary said to me, "What's it they're changing in Tommy's voice? What's it they're changing?" And I heard it. Heard it. I said, Mary, he believes every single word he's saying about the Lord Jesus. He believes it to his core. And he does. He does. And so do everybody else that's a Christian. They do. Yeah. Then I started asking the questions. Yeah. how do you know? How do you know you're saved? How do you know? How are you so confident that you're saved? How are you so confident you want to go to heaven? You know, and I was asking them questions because I didn't think I was saved.
Hmm.
I didn't think I was saved. Uh, but I got the answer. We go on a breakfast. Some Saturdays we go for breakfast. And I get all the lads together. We go for breakfast. And I asked them the question. They were all together. And I wanted to know why they were so confident. Why aren't I so confident? Why can't I be confident? Uh, and they all go at me like they always do. But it takes me a long time for the old thing to get into my head. They told me, no problem. Uh, but that week, I was going through the scriptures. And I knew I was saved. How did I know I was saved? Because God only chastens the ones he loves. And when Tom told me that, I didn't get it. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee one morning. God. And I know now. Now I know what Martin had.
Hmm.
Martin had the very same thing. Now I'm frightened to die. I was never frightened to die. I was frightened to where I was going to go
Yeah.
when I died. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because where I stand in Christ. Mm,
It is
that's it.
it's the amazing thing about the gospel that it is done like the Lord has done everything, and by us
Yeah.
accepting what He has done, it's absolute assurance for us that it's absent from the body, as Paul said, and present with the Lord, and that's the reality of the gospel. It's great news. That's an amazing
Lord,
journey of well, you said it yourself, fighting against God for a long time.
we're fighting, man. Come here.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know,
Well, how is your life in just a couple of minutes? How has your life changed since that you have come to trust the Lord?
I don't have any fear.
Hmm.
I don't have any fear. No fear whatsoever. Um, no, I'm not. I won't be like Tom. No, not yet. But I will be. God will, it'll do that. Uh, and it's learning that it's not me anymore. It, God owns me.
Hmm.
The Lord Jesus paid a price for me. You know, and when you get that into the old head, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It makes a serious big difference. But I have a lot of brothers and sisters around me now. Never had.
Hmm.
Never ever had. Yeah.
You mean like other Christians become a family?
Yeah. 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 And the brother told me that one day over in his house at Taylor, my seventh time I used to go over there. And he said it to me because I was finding it hard to leave the world,
Yeah.
leave my friend that I thought of, leave all that stuff behind that. I would find it very hard to do that. Uh, and Attila said to me, you might lose a few friends, he said, but you're going to get a big family.
Yeah. That's it.
So true.
Hmm.
It's so true. But they're all there for me, John.
Amazing.
Every one of them.
Hmm.
Every single one of them. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not on my own anymore.
Hmm. Good. That's good. Well, that's quite a story, Packy, and it is just genuinely amazing to think of those dark moments and where you were in your life, going right back to 12 and then into teenage life and all of what you went through, even to the gap pitch and rock bottom, and then getting
Mm,
sober and sober but not content, and then fighting against God for another 15 years
not 15,
until
yeah.
you come to genuinely know Him. And I think that's a class thing that it's it's seeing that Christianity works in people's lives about you. You know, from your wife or Tommy, and just for those that are listening, Tommy was interviewed last week, and you can find that as well on the podcast. But seeing the reality that actually God can change someone's life.
Yes,
Um,
life, yes, unbelievable.
and even maybe if you're listening to this, and you're hearing what God has done in Pakie's life, maybe that might speak to you. Maybe you're in a similar position, and you've seen, like you've heard tonight, how God has just absolutely changed the life. That's a testimony to what He can actually do and to who He is. Pakie, listen, it's been a real joy to chat to you. I really mean that, and thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And I really, really do appreciate it. And it's great. And I know Waterford, which is close to my heart. To be honest with you, I was down there for a
Yeah,
year. I know Waterford will benefit from you down there. So thank you, Pakie, for coming on.
you're more than welcome.
And thank you so much for listening. And if you do have any comments or questions, please do get in touch. But for now, slán go fóill.